Re-Zero, Side Story, Ottosuwen's Internal Affairs Struggle Line 4, Chapter 1.
The moment he lost his sense of balance and realized what a pinch he was in, it was too late. He experienced a weighty feeling, as if the land below his feet and everything at his hand's reach overturned at the same time, and then heaven and earth switched places. Ada! An inane cry rang out, overlapping with the sound of a collapse, and a cane went rolling over with a hard sound too. In the end, the bed sheets that he grasped on the spur of the moment fell off, dumping the books, materials, etc. that were on it. He lay spread-eagled on the floor, completely stupefied as he looked up to the ceiling. Making things this worse through chain reaction was not really something that he had a knack of. No, it was actually not anything rare or unexpected for him, specifically, to have done this, but he wished that such malicious accidents would take the fact that he was currently recovering from his injuries into consideration. Well, now that I am at this point, I guess I can laugh. Ha ha ha. Ouch. When he tried to, at least, laugh off the situation, he was hampered by the delayed pain on his legs. While being robbed even of the choice to just laugh, he massaged his legs, which were wrapped in bandages, and breathed out a long sigh. Whoa there, be careful, eh? Otto bro, you're fine? Having heard the commotion, somebody opened the room's door from the outside. The one who calmly showed his presence was a golden-haired youngster, who lowered his eyes, saw him lying on the floor, and tilted his head. I came here thinking you might be getting bored all by yourself, and you turn out to be playing some weird game. I am not playing at all. Anyway, it is a good thing that you did, Garfield. He smiled spiritlessly at the boy who came into his inverted field of vision, Garfield. Then, the fallen man Otto extended his hand towards Garfield. Could you lend me your hand for a little? Since it does not look like I will be able to stand up on my own. And so, massaging his battered legs, he begged for rescue.
Chapter 2.
So you're telling me you thought you'd do fine with just a cane? Otto bro, within all those thoughts you have, there's the occasional dumbassery too, huh? What I find frustrating is that, since it is exactly as you say, I have no words to reply with. Replying that, Otto, now back on the bed, averted his displeased face from Garfield. Seeing the man he saw as a brother act like this caused Garfield to make a sound with his fangs, a hint of a smile. On top of the bed was Otto, both of his legs stretched out and completely wrapped in bandages. The damage on his legs came from honorable injuries which he had sustained during the fight that had occurred in the Watergate City. In his current position, Otto was receiving special attention, completely catered to him, in his hospital room, in order to recover from these injuries. It is true that I am being given everything here, but I feel like I might die from boredom in exchange. What you mean, boredom? Didn't you say you were gonna take this opportunity to read some book you wanted to read before, or something? And even I've been coming to kill some time with you, Otto bro. Regarding that time killing, it has been a great help, indeed, but, he directed a glance at a corner of the room, and there was the shotrange board with which, under the pretext of time killing, Otto and Garfield competed incessantly. Being unable to move because of his leg injuries made Otto an easy prey for Garfield. There were a lot of times when he had been busy with work and said he had no time, and therefore could not accept the other's challenges. Since, in his current situation, he had no reason to refuse a challenge, maybe things were not going so badly for Garfield in that respect. Come to think of it, there was a time when Regin went through a phase like this too, wasn't there? He remembered those days when he lived in his old home, and the time spent with the little brother that demanded his attention was recalled. Even his brother, who was now a splendidly astounding man, had been a huge spoiled kid once. When Garfield looked up to Subaru or Otto, he could see things in common with his brother during that time, although this was why Otto himself ended up spoiling Garfield without realizing it. Garfield, you know it, right, huh? It's time to clean this messy room, ain't it? I know it'd be unreasonable to make you do it with how you're now, Otto bro. So I'll be one. I am talking about Natsuki-san, Emilia Summer, and the rest. Otto suddenly lowered his voice, making Garfield's lax expression become tense. Ooh, he sharpened his gaze and answered shortly, that thing 'bout that sage at the Sand Tower? Man, I wanted Tar go with them if it was true. I am wounded, and you are not in your normal condition. Our only merit is to be a burden. To be frank, this incident has left us with no merits. You are aware of that, right? Listening to Otto's words, Garfield lowered his chin and breathed out a sigh of self-admonition. Hypothetically speaking, had Subaru been listening to their exchange, perhaps he would have interrupted them with something along the lines of, "Huh? What are you two talking about?" However, Otto and Garfield's self-assessment was absolute. Certainly, there were a lot of aspects that had improved thanks to the actions of the two. They had nothing to be embarrassed about when it came to their accomplishments. They also knew that there were aspects that it would be pointless to avert their eyes from. But Otto was the camp's internal affairs minister, and Garfield was its military officer. In the end, they had been able to fulfill their main objective for coming to Prestella to acquire an achromatic magic crystal. However, this had not been the result of his negotiations, but a product of Kiritaka's kindness, just something that Kiritaka had gifted to the Emilia camp, as a token of gratitude for their contributions when repelling the Sin archbishops that had attacked the city. Where could Otto's contribution be seen there? And Garfield's power insufficiency, him being the military officer, was an even graver case. Natsuki-san and Emilia Summer have gone to the Auguria Dunes in search of a way to save the citizens. And Garfield, the one who should display his power the most, you are unable to accompany them. We are both fully aware of what we are lacking. And it feels terrible. What the silent Garfield felt on his chest, Otto understood to a painful extent, for he harbored the same emotion. To summarize, both Otto and Garfield had gotten carried away back there. During this year, they had been acting as members of the Emilia camp, and being blessed with good results to a certain extent. As a consequence, they had developed the conceit that they were doing everything fine, and that had become their mistake. Those who overestimated their own strength were destined to commit mistakes from which they would not easily recover. And even though Otto probably knew that better than anybody else, he had messed up. Therefore, "I'll never be strong then, Garfield." It was a phrase with no concreteness. However, since its principle was correct, Otto stared at Garfield. The boy who acted like his brother clenched his fist and his trembling fangs as he stared back at Otto. "It's as you say, Otto bro, we couldn't do anything this time. And we couldn't even go with Thar Captain either. So we gotta become stronger for the day Thar Captain and Thar rest come back. Aye, Thar Camp's stronger shield, gotta be Thar spear too. I won't be losing Tar anyone ever again. Not even Tar Thar Sword Saint." That escalated quickly. Listening to the manifestation of Garfield's resolution, Otto let out a whisper. Such a frank and unclouded manifestation of a decision. Listening to it made him feel uneasy, yet at the same time refreshed. This trait was one Otto did not have at hand. In Garfield's case, he did not declare that just because he wanted to spout out some cool words. There he was, completely serious, prepared to arrive at his goal. "I see, then do that, please. Meanwhile, I will. Come on, Otto bro. Let's turn you two into a militant internal affairs minister who won't lose even Thar Sword Saint." Now, I do not think that is something I can just nod to, you know? Whether he was serious or joking, a comment so difficult to interpret was not something Otto would nod to. Though, when the other smiled with his fangs sounding, it seemed to imply it was some kind of joke. In any case, Garfield's resolution itself was genuine. Therefore, giving an answer was Otto's duty, because that was what Otto, who had, although unexpectedly, assumed the position of an older brother, needed to be prepared for.
Chapter 3.
You heard that? Strong enough to not lose against our Reinhard, really? Please stop, my lifespan is being shortened. Han. So the guy who's volunteering to be that mad bastard's restraint suddenly cares about his lifespan? Don't make me laugh, Internal Affairs Minister, said the guest as she heartily gnawed the upper in her hand with a huge smile. Originally, that upper was in a fruit basket that had been brought as a present for Otto, but he would not be able to digest all of them, so he was actually thankful that she ate it. Still, Garfield does the same, but do you not think it would be more logical to, at least, ask for permission first? Huh? Who gives a damn about logic and such trifles? I mean, We've been on the verge of death together. You too, feel free to eat as many apar as you like if you ever come to visit me. Will such limited chances ever come, though? Tilting his head, Otto bitterly smiled at what the guest Felt said. Seeing Otto like that, Felt proceeded to give the upper one more bite, no shame whatsoever. Felt-sama, I kindly ask you to stop crossing your legs when sitting on a chair. Also, as Otto said, you might be a little light-fingered. Shut up. Beside Felt, a red-haired youth criticized her manners. He was Felt's knight, Reinhard van Astria. Observing the master-servant duo that had come here, Otto scratched his cheek with his finger. By having both a royal selection candidate and the sword saint come to him, he was left in a quite odd position. He himself was out of place. Oh? What's that smirk for? No, I was just thinking this is a little odd. Supposedly, I was just a humble merchant before. And it is not like I have forgotten that ambition at all, but it feels like I have gotten awfully far from it. That feeling, I know it too. If I had the choice, maybe I wouldn't be standing in a place like this. But duty has called, so, for the sake of that duty, I got a fight. I'm sure you can relate, Internal Affairs Minister. As if rebelling against Reinhard's instruction, Felt swayed her body back and forth, still with her legs crossed. When he saw her smile, in which a sharp fang stood out, Otto smiled back even more bitterly. Just like when they had fought together against gluttony, her insight was pleasant to hear. Apart from Otto, there were probably a lot of people who felt the same. On a separate note, what have you two come to my place for? You have not actually come just to assist me by reducing the number of apar, have you? Why else then? And while we're at it, I may be reducing the number of orangs and strawberries too, I am actually thankful for that. Otto did not have a strong preference for sweet food, so it was more helpful for her to reduce them than for him to keep the excess. However, while they were having such a trivial exchange, Reinhard directed his sight towards Felt. Being stared at by his blue eyes, yeah, I get it, Felt nodded. All jokes aside, I came here to say thanks. Internal Affairs Minister, I think you saved us this time. If by that you refer to what happened with gluttony, the feeling is mutual. Had you not brought that meteor with you, Felt-sama, we would have been annihilated. You're right there. Also, it was thanks to this Reinhard guy that you could get your kidnapped lady back, so it's a tie. But, ending her sentence there, Felt scratched her head violently. I still owe you one for that time before, when Reinhard's dad had me captured, right? I do not remember that very well. Miss me with the unnecessary drama. We're here thanking you in all honesty. Otto's unnatural reply caused Felt's crimson eyes to sharpen. That strained the atmosphere to the point that it no longer resembled a scene of simple gratitude. Felt-sama, please calm down. Otto, I don't want you to feel uneasy. Reinhard intervened once more, in an attempt to soften the stiffened atmosphere. He touched Felt's shoulders, her being with her arms crossed, and gently calmed his master down. Otto, I don't want to alarm you too much. Like Felt-sama said, we're here to thank you. Who knows what would have happened to the city if you hadn't entered that place? We share an opinion on that subject. Actually, the truth is that a great part of the problems in the city were solved thanks to you, Reinhard-san. Including the sweeping of those pitiful demi-beasts. That is why I think I was paid too much despite my simple achievements, though, so you too know what it's like to have bugs raising a ruckus on your stomach. Despite her crude figure of speech, Felt's direct negotiation technique made Otto lower his chin. Unfortunately, Otto and Felt both had their own positions, and their paths were split by them belonging to different camps. The world was a complicated place where nothing was simple. They were different from Emilia, who thought that, when it came to helping people, compensation was not necessary. Back then we were all tangled up in our own problems. And it's a fact that it was an outsider from another camp who helped us. So this is a debt I do not dislike, at all, people who are faithful. If we put that internal affairs minister thing aside, you're essentially a merchant, right? You can't just let a merchant manage your loans, it's too scary. Felt's ideas were quite visionary for somebody her age. And the strong caution she bore against merchants was also correct. Of course, even if that weren't the case, we still don't want to get hostile with you guys. It's just that I think it's obvious this is a debt. You better remember that clearly. Well, certainly. And it's not with that lady or that lad. It's with you, as an individual. That phrase made Otto experience a feeling of being cornered, shutting his mouth. Instantly, Felt laughed as if sighing when she saw his reaction. There you go, this is my revenge. You looked like you were taking everything however you wanted. And that made me feel like hitting you all over the face. Was my face that terrible? Don't tell me the Margrave's habits are contagious. That was a thought that Otto really did not want to have, but Felt showed indifference to his fears. She quickly got off the chair, stretched her body, and turned her back to Otto. So, now that we've said everything that had to be said, should we head back? You gotta rest all you can, Otto. What you've done was truly a great help. May you get better soon. And let's fulfill the roles we've been assigned, both you and I. I think the weight of our duties is too different to wish each other good luck equally, though. Despite this, Otto waved his hand and watched as the two took their leave. He knew that Felt and Reinhard, just like Subaru and Emilia, had things to do. Those duties were pretty heavy by themselves. And he wanted them to accomplish everything without any trouble. I am still irritated, though. As expected, spending his time here as a wounded man, fighting against boredom and unable to do anything, made him feel restless. He did not remember being this much of a workaholic before, but, for some reason, he had ended up becoming one. However, while Otto thought that he would have to continue fighting against boredom, visitors came to him, incessantly, one after another. Sometimes it was somebody related to a royal selection candidate, sometimes it was Kiritaka, an executive of Priestella, sometimes it was the master restorer to whom he had entrusted an important task, and sometimes it was the laudable boy whom he saw as a younger brother. During the time he spent with them, he ended up talking about work and only work on his bed. I should really get to work, or else I will only cause trouble for everyone, will I not? With a mutter, as if poisoned by a lack of self-awareness about his work habits, Otto's recovery life went by.